Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am Hethwin. Now, most of you probably already know that we got a new kit for The Sims 4 on Tuesday, the Courtyard Oasis Kit, and this is just kind of a little bit of a look at what is actually in that kit. It's a Moroccan-inspired kit using a lot of really colorful tiles and lush tropical-looking plants, and it's exclusively a build kit. And it's got some really cool items in it. And so I thought today we would build something with this kit. And so that's what I have for you today, is a speed build using the Sims 4 Courtyard Oasis Kit. So without further ado, here we go. I built this slot in Oasis Springs, and I am going to caveat this whole thing by saying I am not a very good builder. I'm adequate at best. So I'm just not the greatest at building. It's something that I'm working on. It's a skill that I am developing. But I wanted to try it. I wanted to experiment with this kit and see what I could do with it. I recognize that the concept of this kit, of this brightly mosaic tiled courtyard, is definitely something that's very specific to a particular look, and it's not necessarily something that I think I'll use all the time. That being said, I do think that there are items in the kit that will be used all the time. So this isn't necessarily like a review of the kit per se and looking at each item, but it is a build making the kit. So we got these doorways. One thing I will say is that I used the highest wall height to build this. And I don't ever build with that kind of wall height because that's what the doorways and the arches are. And I wanted to use those in this build, obviously, because I'm building with the kit. The outside of the house is one of the wallpapers that you get. It's like just kind of almost looks like a stucco in several different shades. Good color swatches for that. I did have a difficult time roofing this because I have that open courtyard in the center, which is where I'm going to build my courtyard eventually. And so I had a hard time with the roofing, and I'm still not sure that I like the way the front of the house looks, to be perfectly honest with you. But I didn't want to waste a whole bunch of time like fiddling with that. I went with something kind of simplistic. I tried to kind of emulate the houses in the area. This, like I mentioned, this is in Oasis Springs, so it has a little bit more of that like Mediterranean feel with like the clay tile roof and, you know, reds and yellows, and that's what I was going with. But then I have these blues and browns in the tile that I'm using and in the door, and again those columns come from the pack as well as the door. So now I'm just kind of laying out the floor plan and getting the rough shape of the house and the feel of the house that I want to happen. I end up making this be 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And it's pretty minimalistically decorated, which you'll see at the end, which is really a lot more my style. I've tried to make things really cluttery and it just doesn't work all that well for me. So I put these archways all around the center because the center part is obviously going to be my courtyard, so I use all of those archways. And that's actually one of the things that I come back and I decorate last. So I will get to that. And I ended up making the courtyard an actual platform because we got platform trims in the pack and I wanted to utilize those. So then I had to go back and put in the arches, but that's okay. So yeah, I wanted to use those trims, and that's why I made it a platform and not just like grass, so to speak. So yeah, I spent a lot of time just kind of trying to figure out how I wanted the floor plan to be and how to get it all laid out. I have to say, I do think that the artwork and the design of this kit is really well done. The tiles are beautiful. It is quite stunning when you look at it, but as I mentioned, it is pretty specific for very specific feels. So it's not maybe as versatile as some things could be, but I think that that's okay. I think it's okay that it's not as versatile. By the time you're watching this, they will also have announced what the new game pack is that's coming out, and I'm excited about that. So when the new game pack does come out, I will make some videos featuring whatever gameplay and stuff is in that. So plan on that happening. I am still going to upload a Not So Berry episode this week, so that will be coming on Saturday instead of on Thursday like it usually is. But I wanted to do this specific build using the new pack, or the new kit, excuse me, and highlighting some of those features. It did take me quite a long time to build this. It was long, but I do like how it turned out, even though the interior, at least, not necessarily the front. And I really like the back, which you'll see. I really enjoyed the back. I did put in a pool because I thought that it fit with the whole theme of it. And I used a trim for the pool that I thought worked really well too. Yeah, really just spent a lot of time just figuring it all out. I ended up landscaping it first, and I used stuff from Jungle Adventure as well. So there's this build is the kit, base game, Jungle Adventure, and then I did use some landscaping from Island Living. But I believe that's the only thing from Island Living that I used was landscaping. But you'll see as I'm building this and doing my landscaping, it's actually quite a bit of the landscaping. So you would have to fill in something if you didn't have Island Living and you wanted to download this. It is on the gallery with my origin ID as Hethwin. So if you're interested in it, you can download it. By all means, feel free and make it your own. But yeah, you can see those flowers that I put in. Those are from Island Living, and so they become kind of prominent, especially in the back of the build. So yeah, so I'm excited about this game pack. I'm gonna just kind of talk a little bit in general, and not just specifically about the build as we're building this, because this is a longer build video, and I think it'd get really boring if I just spoke exclusively about the build. So I am excited about the game pack that's coming out. There's going to be an expansion pack too this summer, which I'm also excited about. I like getting new stuff in The Sims and exploring new gameplay and things like that. So I am looking forward to those things coming, and I think it'll be really fun and really exciting, and I will definitely be doing gameplay of that while not neglecting my Not So Berry stuff. And still finishing up my Rags to Riches gameplay as well, which I have to say, I haven't been as into my Rags to Riches Let's Play. It feels kind of boring to me in some ways, and so I'm really almost looking forward to having that kind of wrap up and free up that space for other things, or even more Not So Berry, because I am really enjoying the Not So Berry a lot. I'm having a lot of fun with that challenge, and I want to do more with it. So yeah, going back and looking at this in the build, I actually really like the way that I landscaped this. You're gonna get to see it again here as I'm going in and putting in some terrain paint, but I really like how I landscaped it. I feel like it has like a lush feel to it, and it feels really garden-esque. And I'm kind of proud of myself with the way that came together. And I'm really like the way the backyard is. Obviously, I'm not done with it yet because I will go and put some stuff on the patio later on. But I just really, really liked the way it ended up coming together. We do get new fencing in this pack, so I did put in use that fencing, and I went with the bright blue because I thought it fit with like the tile, and then the back door has the blue in it, and I'm using the blue and the brown swatch. So I do use the tile in the bathrooms. I just used a base game brown wood for the rest of it. It was like way too much to tile all of it, and I was thinking too of doing just a neutral tile, but then I was like, in a home, you really wouldn't want, even in a warm climate, I don't think you'd want your whole house to be tile. Like, that would felt really cold to me. So I did not do tile throughout the whole house, but I did tile the bathrooms, and I used the pack tile on the floor, but I ended up using, for the wallpaper in that first bathroom there, a wallpaper from Jungle Adventure. I did use pack tile for the second bathroom. So one is more like black and brown kind of, and then the other is like this red base. And I made that bedroom that bright blue that is kind of being carried through. I did use two different swatches for the windows. I used the brown and the white swatch on this side because the tiled one, it didn't really go necessarily with the feel of the room, especially the bathroom that I used a different tile with. So I did this build a little bit differently. Usually I'll go through and just put in like all the basic furniture and then decorate, but this time I really decorated like room by room. And I started with the bathrooms because those to me were like the simplest to build with or to decorate. That lantern that I just placed in there comes from this pack as well. And it's a really pretty lantern. I struggled with the high wall height in building and like getting the angles right and making it so that I could see. And so I apologize if some of the camera stuff is really shaky. It's because the highest wall height is really difficult to work with and be able to see into, for me at least. So this is that second bathroom. I went with the reds, which I liked. I don't usually decorate with red, so it was a different feel for me. I used the fancy bathtub because this was a bigger bathroom and it felt like that was a good choice to put in here. And again, I used the showers from Island Living because they had a tile on them, and so I picked some that kind of felt like they matched the tile that I was using. So they are not exact, but they're pretty close and they keep with that same feel to it. So those are the bathrooms. Then I go and do the bedrooms. I started with the bed again from Island Living, or not Island Living, Jungle Adventure, excuse me. If I misspeak and say Island Living, I mean Jungle Adventure. Let me just say that right now. I used a lot of stuff from that pack because I thought that it went really well with the feel of this kit. I think there are some base game items that work really well with it too, but this is almost exclusively, well, this is exclusively base game and Jungle Adventure and this pack with the flowers from Island Living. So I just kind of am decorating this room. I didn't have Sims in mind when I was building it, so it was really more of just like putting things in here that I thought looked good together. That was the decorations that I was going with. With the bed, I ended up taking out the Island Adventure bed because I didn't like the swatches that came with it. I wanted a reddish swatch, but not too red because I didn't want it to clash with the walls. So I ended up going with this one that has like I don't know, like that geometric pattern on the bottom, which again I thought felt also consistent with like the geometric tiles that were going on with this build and in general. One thing I will say is when you're decorating walls, you realize how little interesting artwork there and inexpensive artwork there is to put on the walls from the base game. And I think that's where I usually struggle the most when I'm building base game houses, is like, what do I put on the walls? Because there's just not a lot that looks nice or doesn't look like decals or anything. Yeah. That door into the bathroom is from the kit as well. Same thing with that end table. The pottery though is also from I keep saying Island Living. Jungle Adventure. Same thing with those chandeliers with the candles in them. That's also from Jungle Adventure. And so now I'm moving on to the kitchen. One thing I will say is this space over here on this right side, so it's on the right side as you come in the door, is pretty open and minimalistically decorated. Because again, that's a style that I like. I don't like tons of clutter in my house in general. I don't necessarily like putting a lot of it in The Sims because it can make your game run like not super great, and I just get overwhelmed with the amount of it. So I tend to do more minimal stuff. See, this is me struggling with those wall heights as you're seeing me kind of jerk the camera around a little bit. So I used, again, Jungle Adventure for the counters. Again, I thought that felt like it fit really well. That tile is so beautiful for like a backsplash of a kitchen. Like, look at, it just looks really nice. And you're getting to see a close-up of the detail of it right here, and it really is very, very well done. It looks really pretty. So I'm cluttering up the counter space a little bit because there is quite a few counters and they definitely needed some clutter on them to make it look not just barren and bare. I didn't put in a microwave because I find that they annoy me in gameplay, but there's certainly space that you could put that in. So I found the pergola things and I was like, oh, I need to remember to put one of those in the backyard. So I quickly like jumped out there to do that. I debated about a rug in the kitchen. I ended up not going with that because it just nothing really fit and jived with that. I used a bigger round table, even though this is only a 2-bedroom home. I figure it's a big house. There might be guests that would be coming over. It would be nice. I ended up using that, oh, I'm forgetting what those are called. The trims that you can replace the wall with. The name is escaping me. I'm sorry, you guys are probably screaming it at the video. So I ended up putting that in here because I needed something to kind of just break up that space a little bit between the kitchen and the dining living area. So I put in one of those, just putting a little bit of clutter on this table. This tea set came from the pack right there, which is really nice and really pretty. Again, pottery from Jungle Adventure. Fits really nicely with this whole feel. So, all right, so then I'm like, what do I need to put some functional stuff too, like make this a functional house. So I put a computer over here and I had this big space, so I actually put in a grand piano. I put in a chessboard over on the other side of the courtyard and used this plant that came with the pack, which is huge, but it's only one tile and it sizes down really, really nicely. So I've taken care of most of the rest of the house, and now I'm decorating the courtyard using the stuff from the pack. So that tree that has a trim is from the pack, which looks really nice in this courtyard. The fountain is really cool and really pretty. You're seeing the furniture that comes with it. There is a coffee table. I end up taking out the coffee table because it doesn't really fit with what I was doing with this. But I've got the couches and the chairs around the fountain using the end tables from the pack, taking some of the lanterns and putting those in as well. There's a really beautiful, that piece of pottery that I just placed comes with the pack as well, which is really pretty and fits really nicely. That's that big plant that I said that sizes down, and it's only 50 simoleons. Like, it's really cheap. So then I ended up just kind of mirroring what I had on the one side with the sofas. And so this creates like a really nice kind of just sitting, lounging space that I thought came together really, really well. I really like how the space ended up coming together. And it is a really beautiful pack. Very specific, but really beautiful, really well designed, really well done. I enjoyed building with it. I don't think it's stuff that I'll necessarily use a ton. Some of the items, yes, definitely, but I'm not going to be all crazy tiled all the time. So I'm almost done here, just putting a few things out back. I did use the coffee table in the back. I used the tea set several times in several different places, and I put it out here with a couple of the lanterns to just kind of complete this backyard feel around this pool area. And yeah, so this is my attempt at building a riad. So now we are into the screenshots. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I will talk to you again soon.